this video I'm going to talk to you about a little project that I had over the sort of end of the sort of Christmas period, and what it is was I had an old MacBook Air, which wasn't mine originally, this model here, and it wasn't being used, and I thought, well, that seems a shame because it's quite a nice slim laptop, nice form factor, well made, obviously by Apple, but it wasn't being used because the operating system was not supported any longer by Apple, and that happens to all of its older kind of equipment. Goes out of support, and then it becomes a bit of a risk if you connect it to the network, because obviously it doesn't have the same security as a more modern supported laptop would do. So it doesn't have, all the updates would have finished, and because of the hardware being older, running it's not capable of running the modern software, the modern operating systems. So I was kind of thinking, well, seems a shame, but what can I do with that? And through my investigations, what I've found was that there was a Linux operating system called Linux Mint, and I could install that on here with a USB key. All you need to do is download the ISO of the image, and burn that onto copy that onto the onto here using some software. So I will go into the process in a bit more detail, but just to give you an overview, what you have to do is download the image, operating system image, and then confirm that it's the right, that it's valid and that it's the right image and it's an official version. And then you can then copy it to the USB, and then from the USB boot the USB and install from there. My intention for this one is that I didn't want to keep the Apple operating system on it. I wanted to replace it all with a Linux operating system, and I did that. So there were some hurdles along the way, which I'll go into when I go into more detail. But that's the intention was to have a machine where I could use it. So that's what I did with an older MacBook. This was actually a model from 2014, so quite an old one. But actually, now I've got Linux Mint on here, it runs like a dream. It boots up really quickly, and I've got access to the internet, and I've got LibreOffice, which is a full Office suite on here. It's equivalent to Microsoft Office, and it's got other packages on here, so it's got other software for video editing, photo editing. I've installed some software on here called Trelby for script writing. So it's a brilliant working machine now, and I can put this in a bag, take it along. I was using it in a cafe this morning, so yeah. I also bought a kind of compatible mouse for it, which looks like an Apple mouse, very slim design, brilliant. And I've also bought a nice little case for it, a nice slim case here. So yeah, so I thought maybe I would be able to use a Lightning adapter, but actually it doesn't support. I don't think it supports Lightning. No. So what I've got is a USB on this two USB ports. So I can't plug this in, but I can. I have got a USB SD card reader, so I can transfer files that way. This is a Thunderbolt port, I think. So this plugs in here, and it's a HDMI port, so I can connect this to a bigger screen if I wanted to. So I could have it running on dual screen. But yeah, so that's just a couple of things that I've bought in addition to this, but it's I'm really pleased with it. So I thought, wow, that's good. I was always a bit worried about installing new operating systems on machines, though. You have to be careful, you have to know what you're doing. one of the things that really helped me, and I'm really surprised it did, is I've got my existing laptop here, and I was using that, and I was using Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, the AI, and I was getting error messages and things like that, and I wanted to know a bit more before I started. AI on here, the Copilot, was a really fantastic advisor, and I'll tell you a bit more about the story when I get into the detail of the installation. But it went so well, I thought, wow, I've got a usable, portable, really nice laptop now. And then I started thinking, well, out-of-date MacBooks are coming down in price. You can get them really cheap now. And I thought, well, maybe I can get a more powerful machine than the MacBook Air. So that's what I've done this morning. I've been out and I've got another laptop as part of this project. And I'll bring it over. And it's the first time I've actually taken it out of the bag. And I bought this. So this is a MacBook Pro. As you can see, it's a much bigger device than the MacBook Air. It's also heavier, but it's well made, all aluminium, and it's got that Thunderbolt. It's got two Thunderbolt ports, a USB port on that side, headphone socket, and it also has HDMI socket, another USB port, and I think it's got an SDXC card reader in as well. So it's got a big screen, and it's already got some power in the battery. So wow, my intention with this project is to get this into a usable state in Linux, boot into Linux, and use it for more power processor intensive tasks than that one. I've got my MacBook Pro here, but I found out by putting in the model number that it's from 2014, mid 2014. It's an old Mac, my first hurdle to get through is to work out which Linux operating system will work best on here. And what I've found out through using Copilot is that Linux Mint 21.3 seems to be the version that would work best on here, which is exactly the same as my similar aged MacBook Air. Yes, 21.3. So the final recommendations are either to install Linux Mint 21.3 Cinnamon or install Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. It's saying both are rock solid on the 2014 MacBook Pro and require minimal tweaking. So this is the Cinnamon edition. This is 21.3 Virginia, and I've just gone down to the UK mirror, which is at the bottom of this page, and downloaded it from one of these servers. So it's now sitting on my hard drive. If I open up my downloads, you'll see that that's there. Next thing to do then is to integrity and authenticity. It says anyone can produce fake ISOs. It's your responsibility to check you're downloading the official ones. Download the ISO image, then right-click, save link as on the two files below to save these files locally, and then follow the instructions to verify your downloaded documents. So right-click, save link as, save, right-click, save link as, downloads, save. Okay, and then verify. What does that do? Okay, verify your ISO image. So we're not using Linux Mint to verify the image. If you're using Windows, follow the tutorial. Since the image file verification remains an issue for many Windows users, here's a detailed guide. Okay, so I've previously done this, so I've got this GNU-PG installer. Now, open the folder containing the files you downloaded in first step 1. Hold Shift while right-clicking it, the folder, not the files. And then right click, open and terminal. Right, type this command into the command window, replacing the filename.iso part with the actual file name you downloaded. Cert util, enter to run that. I think what I didn't include was this bit at the end here, SH8256. So let's try that again. Right, I'm getting a much longer number now. Yeah, that looks identical to me. So that's the first part. So that's integrity checked. Now I've got to do this authenticity check. Now copy and paste this command into the Windows command window and press enter to run it. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. Okay. So what does it say? So the output from those two commands was something like this. Don't worry if it looks slightly different. The only relevant part is listed below the screenshot. As long as it says good signature from Linux Mint ISO signing key, then that means your download is authentic. So it does say good signature from Linux Mint signing key. You can ignore the warning that comes after that. It's expected and normally. If your ISO passes both integrity, and then you can use it to create installation media now in Linux Mint. So in Windows and Mac, download Etcher, install and run it. Vanilla Etcher. Okay. Right. Okay. Now, where are the instructions? Click select image and select your ISO file. So flash from file, downloads, and that's the one. Open that. Select your drive, select the USB stick, Kingston 4GB stick, and then click flash. So this is going to take 12 minutes, so I'm going to stop the video. Okay, so here I am in Copilot, and I've just typed in this prompt. I've created a boot disk with the Linux Mint 21.3 distribution on it. Can you walk me through the next steps? So I used Balena Etcher, and let's have a look at the next steps. Right, so Holder Intel Max is straightforward, but a couple of settings help. So I've done that. I've shut down the Mac book completely. It's telling me now to insert the Mint USB stick. So hold down the Option key and keep holding until you see the boot picker. And I should see something like EFI boot or Macintosh HD. Start Linux Mint. Okay, let's do that. So I am seeing the Mint splash screen at the moment. And I've just typed in a couple of commands to update and upgrade the system. So yeah, it's just running through that right now. But as you can see, it's making slow progress through that. But hopefully once that's done, I'll create a system snapshot and then we're all ready to go. Hello, so this is me, and I'm now using a tool called Simple Screen Recorder, which I installed in Linux Mint. And this is the interface. The background is one I've chosen. So the tools I've got available are all pretty standard. So in this example, I'm having a look at Firefox and have loaded a page. As you can see, it loads very quickly. The menu supported is very similar to the Windows menu, and this is some software I've installed called Trailby. It's not part of the main installation, but I'm now going to have a look at LibreOffice, which is part of the main installation. And as you can see, the word processor is now loaded. Very quick machine. I'm really happy with the speed of being able to load applications. The next application is called Krita, and it supports painting, bitmap painting, and it's quite. I've not used it yet, so I'm not quite sure how it compares to other software for editing photos like GIMP, but it's meant to be able to support that kind of work, and also it creates vector images as well. So I've also got choices of GIMP or Inkscape, I guess, to create images if I wanted to. I just have to install those. And I also installed some software called, well, it's for the webcam. I had a bit of trouble, but eventually got it working. And I used Copilot to guide me through the process. So I'm just going to start the webcam up now. And you'll see that it's got some options there, but I'll hide that, and that's me in a darkened room. So so the webcam works, and yeah, I've got a very usable system.